I can start, Hope, if you'd like. Hi, my name's Faith Mata. I'm from Massachusetts, and Hope, you want to introduce yourself too?
I'm also from Massachusetts.
So, the first thing we were going to start with was our icebreaker, and I wanted to know first, how many of you guys have had the chance to come to Massachusetts? Are there any people who've been able to come our way? You can raise your hands in the chat or something like that, because most of our Kahoot questions have to do with state trivia because we want you guys to get to know our state a little better. So you guys have? That's cool. It's a pretty fun state. It's one of like the founding ones, but it's really tiny. And you guys are from some big states, but though it's tiny, it has a bunch of different like geographical things. It has mountains, oceans. We don't have flat plains or anything like that, but it's pretty cool. We have, I think, 7 different counties. So if you would like, I can start the icebreaker Kahoot up first, and you guys can put your answers in the chat. I'm gonna mute here and then turn it over to my iPad.
Are we allowed to use Google?
No. I mean, you can if you'd like to, but then what's the fun in that?
That'd be cheating.
Right.
Just a second.
I was asking for a friend, not for me.
Okay, can everyone see that?
It's loading.
Yep, I'm just gonna switch to Kahoot. I wanted to make sure it was working though. I'm never quite sure how to do this. Okay. Okay, can everyone hear me okay? Oh, jeez. Okay.
See it for a
All
second?
right, I think it's all set now. Sorry about that. Okay. All right, so welcome to our Massachusetts Kahoot. And I'm really excited that you guys are going to take part in this today. I'm going to ask some quick questions about our state, and you guys can answer them in the chat. All right, I'm going to start. What popular sport was invented in Springfield, Massachusetts? Was it hockey, golf, basketball, or foosball? Give you guys a few seconds to put this in the chat. All right, so the answer is actually basketball. And it's very popular because it has its own museum here and everything. But it was originally, I forgot the founder's name, but a fun fact is that it was originally using peach, peach baskets. And it was originally a game that was invented for businessmen to be able to talk out business while at the same time having a lot of fun. So the answer is basketball. And that's our team basketball for Massachusetts, or the Celtics. Okay, what is the Massachusetts state flower? Is it the apple blossom, the mayflower, the violet, or the hydrangea?
Hmm.
And I'll give you guys a quick hint. When the Pilgrims landed in Massachusetts, they came on what ship? The correct answer is the Mayflower. And I actually didn't know the Mayflower looked like this. It's so tiny. It's really kind of cute. What is the Massachusetts state capital? Cape Cod, Salem, Cambridge, or Boston? I'll give you a hint. It was mentioned before. All right. The answer is Boston. Boston is our state capital. Although Salem is one of our more popular areas, though, because of something you're going to hear about in the trivia later on. A famous witch trial was held in what Mass town in 1692 to 1693? Worcester, also called Worcester, but mostly Worcester. Salem, Adams, or Holyoke? And it looks like you guys all got it right. It is Salem. This one was a fun one for me because I myself did not know this one, and I've lived in Massachusetts all my life. What snacks were invented in Massachusetts? Boston cream pie, corn dog, marshmallow fluff, or the chocolate chip cookie? And it can be more than one answer. It's 3 correct ones and 1 false one.
Mhm.
So what do you guys think?
Faith, I think you skipped ahead 2 slides.
Oh, geez, it's doing it the wrong way. You'll see these later on. This is the wrong thing. Okay. The correct answer is the Boston cream pie, marshmallow fluff, and the chocolate chip cookie. The corn dog, unfortunately, was not invented in Massachusetts. It was invented in Texas.
Mhm.
In which New England state are real estate brokers not required to tell prospective home buyers if a house is haunted? Massachusetts. This is a trick question. It's not Massachusetts. Maybe New Hampshire or Connecticut. Oh, I got you all, guys. It is Massachusetts. I wanted to just check that one for you guys a little bit. Massachusetts is the only state in which we are not required to tell prospective homebuyers that our houses are haunted. And we sure have a bunch of them here. What is the state berry of Massachusetts? Is it the strawberry, the cranberry, the blueberry, or Massachusetts doesn't have a state berry? All right, yes, it is the cranberry. We have a bunch of bogs around here, and you might have heard of. I forgot, but I think it's like Nantucket Nectars has a lot of cranberry things and such like that. But it is the cranberry. What are 2 of Massachusetts's nicknames? And I mentioned it earlier, one of them on the slides. So it'd be the Bay State, the Chickadee State, the Ocean State, and or the Baked Bean State. So it'd be 2 of these. We have nicknames for our state here. All right, so the correct answers are the Baked Bean State and the Bay State. The Ocean State is Rhode Island, Ms. Kim, and the Chickadee State is not actually our nickname, but the chickadee is our state bird. Okay, this one's a fun one. It is illegal to what in Massachusetts? Scare a pigeon, use tomatoes and clam chowder, own 3 or more cats, or fish for a whale on a Sunday?
Mhm.
All right, so I'm happy to announce you all got that one right because it's all of the above. It is illegal to scare a pigeon, use tomatoes and clam chowder, own 3 or more cats in one town, and fish for a whale on a Sunday in Cape Cod. And these are all those weird ones. Every state has them. These weird laws that nobody actually uses anymore. But okay, which famous movie was filmed in Massachusetts? The Godfather 3, Clueless, Forrest Gump, or Jaws?
Hmm.
Okay, the correct answer is Jaws. Most of it was filmed near Martha's Vineyard, and actually it was filmed like during like the dead of winter. So these people were out in the ocean with like negative degree weather and things. It was kind of crazy, but it was indeed Jaws. Which famous footwear company was founded in Massachusetts? Was it Puma, Nike, Converse, or Asics? All right, the correct answer is Converse.
All right.
Okay, this one's a really fun fact about us. Where in Boston is there a wooden codfish? There isn't a wooden codfish, a famous pub, the State House, or Fenway Park. Yeah, you guys all got it right. It is indeed the Mass State House, and our cod is called the Sacred Cod. And we actually got to see it when we went to the State House earlier this year. It was kind of fun. Famous actors from Massachusetts include Mark Wahlberg, Matt Damon, Uma Thurman, and or Ben Affleck. There's more than one correct answer. Yep, the correct answer is all of the above.
Wow.
All these actors were from Massachusetts. Okay, true or false? The place with the longest name is in Massachusetts. True or false? The correct answer is true. We have Lake, and I wrote the pronunciation at the bottom because it's such a long and very difficult to pronounce name. It's Lake Chargagagwin, Cha-ga-gog-chu, Bu-na-gung-ga-mog. And that means you fish on your side, I fish on my side, and nobody fishes in the middle. And you guys can come visit. It's actually a really pretty little place. Never been there, but we've been by it.
Not too far from my office.
What's that?
Not too far from my office.
Oh, really? Which two things were invented in Massachusetts? Tupperware, Lifesavers candy, the ballpoint pen, and or the tin can. The correct answer is Tupperware and the ballpoint pen. I did not know about the ballpoint pen before, but that's kind of cool. Okay, our state dinosaur is the T-Rex, pterodactyl, swift-footed lizard, or the Triceratops. You guys all got the answer to that one just now. It is the swift-footed lizard. And I think I mentioned them earlier, so you guys should be paying attention to it. Our state marine mammal is the right whale, the sea otter, the dolphin, or the octopus. Yeah, so it is the right whale. That is our state sea mammal. Our state artist is Grandma Moses, Norman Rockwell, Eric Carle, or Dr. Seuss. Yeah, so our state artist is Norman Rockwell, and actually, there's a fun fact. My family and I got to go to that same diner where that officer and the little boy are eating, where they actually painted that painting, which is kind of cool. It's right near where we live.
Oh, cool.
It's in Lee, I think. Okay, Mass's state cat, the tuxedo, orange, tabby, or blue. The correct answer is the tabby cat. And that seems to be it for the rest of our quiz, but it was really fun to have you guys try it out, and I hope you guys get to come to our state. I'm gonna try and unscreen share now. You guys can wait 1 second. Okay, perfect.
All right. That's great.
And do we know who's up next or if we're taking notes today? Are we going alphabetically? And are somebody on if so?
I think we might have agreed North Carolina to do next month, but I'm not particularly sure on that. because I know that I'm going to do a presentation for next month's meeting. So, um, Arjun, do you want to lead that one, or I can lead it, whichever?
Either one works. We can both lead, right?
That's a good point, actually. All right.
Who wants to take notes?
I can take notes, maybe.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Sergeant.
Rob, you're welcome to also take notes, and y'all can pull them together at the end. That's also a way to do it. So
I know, but Arjun volunteered.
sounds good.
And would North Carolina please send the agenda and meeting notice out a few days in advance of next month's call?
Right.
Absolutely.
And I apologize for that. I was out of the office, so when Faith got it to me to look at, I was late.
All good.
Great. Thank you.
So it seems like the next thing on our agenda is our state updates. And is there anyone who'd like to volunteer to go first, or Massachusetts can?
Well, considering where North Carolina's GIS Day is tomorrow, I think it'd be best if we go ahead and do some updates. And Dr. A actually suggested that I present my map for the GIS Day competition in the city of Raleigh tomorrow. So if y'all wouldn't mind, I think I'll go ahead and do that. So, ladies and gentlemen, tonight for tomorrow's City of Raleigh, North Carolina GIS competition, I would like to present a little project I have. Introducing HazardX. It is an ArcGIS dashboard / ArcGIS 123 solution, survey 123 solution. I'll go ahead and scroll down. It is an incident recording system. The recording system has two parts. A survey 123 and a dashboard, which are freely available for people to copy and rewrite into their own incident recording system. And just to make sure, can you all see my screen? Okay, we're good. And so I have made a demonstration version for the competition tomorrow. This version actually has hypothetical incidents reported on the city of Raleigh using the template. And so the way it's set up and the way most ArcGIS dashboards maps work is you have a map in the center where you have these indicators that display data based on the map. And with HazardX, you can actually simulate multiple floors of a building to emulate sort of incidents at different levels or different locations of a building. And we have two portions by default. There is a bar graph portion, which will actually display the times in which incidents have occurred and the number of times that it's occurred, and also the type of incidents that have occurred and the proportions of them. And these tabs at the bottom allow you to switch in between floors and whatnot. However, you can have a single floor or you can have more than two floors. It's all dependent on how you program it. And scrolling down, there is the template, and as well as two instructional videos to show you exactly how to set up HazardX. And so this map will be a part of the competition tomorrow. It will be judged. There is a poster version, which I'm not going to leak now because that'll be for the competition. But yeah, and as for other updates from me, and for those of you who are on the calls, because I know we have some guests on the call, I thought I'd introduce myself. I'm Brock Reese. I'm the president of the Fuquay-Varina High School GIS Club in Fuquay-Varina, North Carolina, which is not too far from Raleigh. And our club's next meeting, Dr. Ray, just so you know, is on November 13th. And we'll be looking into some ArcGIS dashboard stuff. And I'll also be presenting this map then at that meeting as well. And we should also have one of our Fuquay Club members tomorrow at GIS Day, unless he responds otherwise. He says it's going to depend on sleep schedule and whatnot, because he's had a busy time this past couple weeks. But besides that, assuming all goes well, he should be at the thing tomorrow. That's all from me, and I'll pass that on to Dr. Ray and Arjun.
Sure. So For me, I just submitted my Umstead coring map for the Raleigh GIS Day, as Brock was mentioning earlier. And I can go ahead and present that. Let's see. All right, so let me see if I can get this. I think it's a little bit too small on this, but I can zoom in a little bit. Let me know if you guys can read that, but I used pretty much a similar map at the San Diego Esri Gallery. And so this is just about the effects of coring near Umstead State Park, where I took data from the Umstead Coalition and I kind of analyzed the effects of this new quarry that's going to be created around the area of Umstead State Park, which is a state park that actually right by around my house, where I use like a lot of the recreational trails quite often. And so I was kind of protesting this because of the environmental impacts it would have, such as the water quality, air quality, and the limited buffers between the new quarry and the park. And as you can see in this image right here, this new quarry area is much closer to the trails than the existing quarry, which makes it a real concern. But yeah, so this is the map that I'm submitting to the Raleigh GIS competition, which is happening tomorrow.
So Arjun, thanks, Brock. I wanted to go ahead and just share. I don't have access to everybody's poster, but I did want you all to see some of the other posters that some of our team members are submitting or have submitted. I will say that many of our members have only been doing GIS for about 2 to 3 months. And I guess they started August-ish. And so I'm really proud of the work that they've done so far. So I'm just going to share this screen. So Brandon was really interested in understanding access to public transportation in Wake County. And so he's done a couple of different visuals. This one shows the Raleigh bus stops. They're the dots. And then the bus lines are the lines that you see here. And he's overlaid it with EPA's walkability index. So green are the areas that are most walkable. Walkability means like being able to get to grocery stores, visit the doctor, basic errands, things like that via foot. And so he's done that here. And then over here, he has a 10-minute bike ride buffer from all of the bus stops. And then he looked at the proportion of Wake County residents that live in that 10-minute bike ride buffer zone compared to the overall population. He found that 46% of Wake County residents live within a 10-minute bike ride of a bus stop that would presumably get them to other areas in the county where they want to be. And then this is actually a map that I did. It's a project with the Wake County Commissioners. And so we were looking at distributions of outside of school time programs in Wake County. And so here's where they are. You see an economic health index. Here's cost of programs, enrollment, correlate or a comparison of population density to program outlet density, and then 10-minute walk time. This is one that, if those of you who remember Nikhil, his sister Radhika is now in our club, and she was really interested in looking at rates of uh, firearm fatalities and mental health providers in communities or in counties in the U.S. And so, where you see the bright pink, that's high firearm fatality and high mental health provider rate. The blue is low for both. The purple is low firearm fatalities. And no, let me make sure that's right. The purple is high firearm fatalities and low mental health providers. And then the like grayish color is low firearm fatalities, but high rates of mental health providers. So that was her map. Arjun's sister is also now in the club. So we're having lots of sisters join the club. And she was really looking at rural counties and their access to, and this isn't the final map. I didn't have her final poster. She's actually done some more analysis than what you see in this one. But she's basically looked at just the rural counties and then their access to urgent care facilities. Michael did a 15-minute drive time to, I believe it was drive time. I'd have to double check that. Again, I don't have access to his actual poster, but he was looking at access to food hubs in Wake County. And so those are some of the maps in addition to the ones that Brock and Arjun shared that will all be on display at GIS Day tomorrow. So we've been busy over here cranking out some maps, getting ready for GIS Day. But the way we're kind of setting it up is that this is the first kind of GIS Day becomes kind of like the first opportunity to put your idea of a map out there in the public, get some feedback from some GIS professionals, and then we'll turn around and when the state competition rolls around early spring, there'll be revised versions of those that become story maps. And of course, Brock already has his as a story map. I believe Arjun has a story map, but these will all become story maps that will then go into the state competition and hopefully become refined, even better posters. Oh yeah, I will definitely work on getting some pictures tomorrow, Ken. Thank you. So we're really excited about GIS Day, if you couldn't tell.
Yeah. And Thomas, do you envision that later on in the year, these refinements and so on will be displayed at even more public events and, maybe fairs and science fairs and schools? And
That's our hope. I mean, Arjun has gone around with me to a lot of different events this year. He did submit his map to the state fair, and his map was part of the state fair this year. So we do try to work hard to make sure that we're present at both local, but then also larger events. So we're really excited that you got to meet up with Michael and Sue this summer because we think those are the places where this kind of word gets out and people can learn about what we're doing and kind of grow this thing.
right. Would it be reasonable for us to begin to identify a list of state fairs we might be targeting in 2024? The locations and dates?
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Is there anybody on the call that might be willing to help out building that list? Like Brock, I saw you nodding your head. That was a good idea.
I think we could probably create a spreadsheet. So what I could actually do maybe is even turn that into a GIS map if you wanted to. I could turn that into a dashboard actually that displays like where the fairs like when the fairs are, especially considering that dashboards can take live input from survey 1, 2, 3s.
Right.
And as long as you republish those surveys, dashboards automatically update to that. That's how HazardX works. And so I think that if we just continue to add and say like republished every month or so, we'd probably have some pretty consistent data by 2024.
Cool. That would be great.
Yes. Yeah, I'll if y'all can email me data on that, that would be great. In fact, I'll put my email in the chat real quick.
That might be a great map for San Diego too, Brock.
Terrific. That's a great idea.
Do you have any
Those-
teams doing anything in Atlanta?
Repeat
Do
that.
you have any teams doing anything around Atlanta?
We do not have a Georgia team currently. We would love to because there's a lot of data that could probably come out of that region. My dad is actually from that region, so no, but it would be awesome to have a team. We just don't really have any contacts there right now.
One reason I say that is because Atlanta Food Bank did a great job on marrying GIS with the CRM software so that people, underserved populations could walk. They say map all the areas they can walk 10 minutes, inside the city or outside the city, something like, I don't know, maybe 40 different counties around there. They figured out, how people could find out on their cell phone where there was a local market or a local shop or something that had some kind of fresh food. And it was available, on which days, which times. And people, underserved populations could walk, to get that food, for access. And so the kind of things that you're doing, if maybe you've got a great food bank in Raleigh, that's already done stuff with GIS or CRM software. Maybe it's similar to Atlanta. Maybe Charlotte's done something. I don't know. But I'm just thinking that, the work that you're doing, that the 4-H kids are doing, it's very valuable. But, if you guys were married together with the food banks, with what they need, it would really be a match, a great match.
Good to know.
I did
Yeah,
look.
thanks for that, Michael.
Yes.
And I would say that, we have done some of that. We have not yet created, but this might be an opportunity to create some kind of a web-based application for like navigating to the closest food bank. Or, one of the things that we found early on that was a bit challenging here in Wake County was the hours some of the food banks were operating were not necessarily conducive to the times that people would be able to get to them.
I
And so,
totally,
depending on if you're a single parent and you're working, a shift work job, you may not be able to get to the food bank when it's open.
I totally agree. I've been going down this rabbit hole with food banks for a little while, and yeah, I know. But there's just a huge amount of work that's already been done. That I'm just saying, instead of reinventing the wheel, maybe there's just some specific connecting points that if the 4-H teams were doing it, on those connecting points, you guys would be applauded much more heavily. And maybe the food banks would be kind of nudged into doing the right thing, to better serve. And I'll get on my soapbox for just a second. The great work that you did with tobacco, I love that. I was the VA's tobacco manager for tobacco litigation against the tobacco companies in the early 2000s. And so I'm a lawyer. Everybody can shoot me after the meeting. That's fine. But one thing about food is one of the worst things are sodas for diabetes. And it's heartbreaking to see these food banks with crates of soda and processed food, cheap food, that they pass out to the poor populations. It's cheap food, okay, but you're giving everybody diabetes and pre-diabetes. And it's out of control in South Carolina. But if you looked at that the same way as you did the tobacco locations that are selling around schools, and you did some kind of mapping of places in the poorer populations or lower income, where the prevalence of the sugar sweetened beverages, SSBs, and the ultra processed foods, that is 90%, that no one has any access to fresh food, and you map those areas on degree, or you did some kind of mapping on the food banks and the food pantries and said, which food banks, food pantries have sugar sweetened beverages and ultra processed foods primarily, or which ones have that and which ones have fresh food. Doesn't necessarily have to be organic or farm, but 30 more seconds on my high horse, I'm sorry. But so I've been trying to get into schools, farm to school. And I've been speaking with them on National Food Farm to School Network. And so been trying to work on that and mapping out the schools and the school districts in South Carolina for just that reason, trying to influence more farm produce to high schools and public schools. And so I just throw all that out. I'm sorry I've talked too much. Thank you, everybody. Everybody's doing great stuff. So I'll stop talking. Thanks.
Michael, any of those folks in Georgia that you're acquainted with or South Carolina that might come sit in on our call in some future month?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
I think we're open to having them come if it makes sense to you.
I'll work on it, because some of the people I'm working with are at state government, agriculture and education. And they may or may not do it, but they may know people that they work with that they like. And so also I've got some good contacts with some of the large universities and also with the Medical University of South Carolina in Charleston.
And I think you had some data that was GIS mapped on some food locations and so on, that some folks that had done that might be interesting for this group to see some of that data from South Carolina.
The reason why I said that about not reinventing the wheel is because the State Department of Agriculture already has all the coordinates. It's already for the farms, and they've already got the U.S. Department of Agriculture already has the surveys that they do every 5 years on high schools, what they do for farm to school produce, participation. So I've already looked at the school district reports for about 20 different school districts that I thought were the best ones in South Carolina, 20 out of 140, I think it is. And so I've already looked at them and I've already analyzed them. And so it's some good news, and mostly it's mediocre news, or very small. So a lot of that work is already done. So that's what I'm trying to say, about the GIS, finding the connecting points that the state government isn't doing, or the counties aren't doing, or the school districts aren't doing. The big barrier for the schools is one person spending 5 hours a month, doing reports. They don't want to do the report. So I mean, that's one of the barriers. I just give that as an example. But the data, there's so much data out there. It's just finding the connecting points that make a difference, that make the real value added.
Well, I think some of our youth would help to try and tie some of those points together.
Yeah, yeah, they can do it. And then I love it that you go toward policy. That's what I did for 25 years in the VA, policy. So, and being a lawyer too, and being a project manager, I was a senior level project manager. In fact, PPM, you know that stuff, Tom. But yeah, and I did IT projects. I did about 20 of them.
So you probably had a lot of work with Vista.
Excuse me?
Did you have a lot of experience working in Vista for business process modeling and making it all tie together?
Yeah.
Just a little.
That's a long answer. Yeah, we created a software that enabled military hospitals and VA hospitals to view patient records on any computer screen at military hospitals or VA hospitals, and did not exist before we did it. And our stuff's in 200 hospitals, and it's still there.
They're still using it, trying to get rid of it, but
well, the other programs spent $1.3 billion and produced nothing. And I scrounged $3 million a year for 3 years, and our stuff's in 200 hospitals. So there you go.
it's amazing. Glad to meet you. Glad you're here.
Thank you.
Actually, Mr. Michael, just a question. Where in South Carolina are you from? Because I grew up in Greenville, actually.
Aiken.
Oh, so you're from Aiken. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's my hometown, Aiken. Grew up here.
Nice.
Yeah, Greenville's great.
So Brock and Michael, you need to tie this together with your South Carolina ties, okay?
Yeah,
You all stay in touch, all right?
will do.
I wanted to say too, Mr. Moore, that most of what you were saying really ties into the Massachusetts program. Like when you said access to food, that's a really big part of we just had a project here on October 14th. We just finished it. It is the Massachusetts 4-H Day of Access, which is a day in which we talked about food insecurity across our state. And even though we're a small state, 7% of our population suffers from not being able to access healthy foods and things. So we had all across our county, and I believe 8 of our counties, we had people, different 4-H teams running different educational and hands-on events to teach people about food insecurity and things. So it's really cool that you're talking about that.
That's wonderful. I appreciate that. Food insecurity it's really difficult here because we're such a rural state, and also just so I can not celebrate South Carolina for a second. As far as health statistics, we are number 42 out of 50 states for health statistics, for the health of our population. Number 42. And so that's why I'm looking at pre-diabetes, diabetes, and it's all tied to health, to food security, the quality of the food. So, sorry, I'm talking too much.
Great opportunities for us to work together. We hope you'll come back next month, Michael, with more. Other states?
I think based on the agenda, North Carolina just went. Is there anyone else who would like to go? I think California, based on the list, is supposed to go first, but I'm not sure if we have any California delegates.
I'm here from California, and I think, yeah, like we've only been working on like what Sudie said in the email for like GIS Day. That's all we've been really meeting and talking about, but we're creating some like presentations and stuff for that.
That's
Yeah.
great. How about Illinois? Is Illinois gone yet?
I didn't see anybody on.
Okay. Iowa is next. I'm not sure if we have any Iowa delegates. If not, then that'd be Louisiana who would go next.
Yeah, I'm
And
not sure if Louisiana is active yet.
okay. Based on the list, it'd be Massachusetts next. Hope, do you want to talk a little bit for us? I can go a little bit. So in Massachusetts, we've kind of I haven't really been focusing on mapping as much as the Day of Access project. That was more of like the central focus because it was so like close to now. We went to the Eastern States Exposition, which is the compilation of all of New England's states at the Big E, which is the fair here. So we had a table for as the computer science team leaders slash like mapping leaders of Massachusetts. So we went and had a table there, and we actually got some members who were interested in trying to like join our group because it's kind of a smaller group here. And that was really exciting, and we got to show a lot of our programs. There's a lot of mapping and coding information 4-H is giving, obviously, so we had a bunch of publicity on that as well.
You were able to recruit some new folks, Faith?
Yeah, it was really a great event, and there's lots of people too, so even non-4-Hers, which is nice. We got some non-4-Hers interested, which is really fun.
Wonderful.
And we too are working on a group for Ignite, so applications closed on the 31st, so we're reviewing those. So we'll have a team going down. I don't know if this group is presenting anything on healthy lifestyles, but we're hoping to have some participation down there. And also for our STEAM Festival, which is in March, we hope to be adding a map contest to that. So try to encourage more people to map and get it in. So kind of kick it off between JS Day and Computer Science Week in December for them to get thinking about and apply and put that in. And it's like a winter fair that's virtual. That's what we call our STEAM Festival.
So Brock, that list of state fairs that you're building should include that Big E New England State Fair that they were just mentioning. That's typically in September, isn't it?
Yes. Runs for 3
Absolutely.
weekends and 2 weeks.
So there's a new item, new state for your easy list that you can get the details from
Okay.
Faith and on.
I'll go ahead and create a spreadsheet then.
So Kim, sounds like you're going to have a growth in your team there in Massachusetts.
I'm hoping they picked up some names at Big E, about 5, and then looking at Ignite, we have a couple, one that's done some mapping in her school with FFA. So I'm hoping we'll pick up a few more.
Wonderful, wonderful. Great job.
If that's it for Massachusetts, what I think it is, the next state would be New York. Are there any New York delegates? Okay. North Carolina just went. That'd be South Carolina. Have you guys gone yet? I don't think so.
Michael Moore was the South Carolina guest.
Oh, okay, perfect. Tennessee.
Yeah,
We just have
Austin and I are both. Austin, you have anything? If not, I can give a little bit of a.
Go ahead, man.
Yeah, so like we talked last meeting, we're working on GIS Day as well as a state competition. So GIS Day will be this month. I think it's like the 15th. So coming up soon, we got to put together some things. So we're going to be reaching out to the state 4-H person who is directing that, Ty Petty. He was on the team for years and years. So we're going to work with him and put together just a webinar call for GIS Day. And one of the main points there will be announcing the competition. The competition will take place in the January, February, March timeframe, and it will prepare us to have some delegates to send, if not in person, definitely virtually, to attend the Esri conference for this coming year. So Team Tennessee will be put back on the map, and so we're going to do our state competition like we've always done for years and years before COVID struck. So if anyone wants to tag along with that or just see how it goes, you're welcome to join us. But that's all I have. That's back to you, Faith.
Okay, I wasn't sure if there's anybody else. Good.
We do have a
Oh,
guest. Faith, we have a
I did.
guest from
I
from
saw in the
North
chat
Dakota.
there is somebody from North Dakota who's here as a guest. Would you like to like talk for a little while? Sorry, I didn't see you on the agenda.
Hi, my name's Sue Isbell. I work for North Dakota State University. I'm the 4-H Youth Development Agent on the Standing Rock Indian Reservation. And I guess I'd just like to give a little perspective what rural means in North Dakota. Standing Rock is in south central North Dakota. Our east border is the Missouri River. The reservation itself is in North and South Dakota. It's over 2.3 million acres. And if you want to talk about food insecurity, we have 2 grocery stores on the entire reservation. My goal for our youth is to start mapping locations of where people live, because we have communities, but we have a lot of people that live out in what we call rural areas that aren't mapped. And if they need any kind of emergency assistance, it's very difficult for people to find them. So that would be my first goal for our program. Thank you.
Wonderful. Can you imagine
Hey,
that?
that's so exciting. We would
Yeah.
love to have your youth be a part of this team so we could work together.
Well, we're small. I mean, the schools I work with have less than 100 students totally. So we're very small. Like I said, we're very rural. It's a totally different environment than you're used to.
That sounds awesome though. Like I can say like Hope and I are the only delegates from Massachusetts, so having a smaller group is okay too. That really like adds to the group, I think.
Thank you.
Yes. I mean, my high school's GIS club, we currently only have 6 regularly attending members. So small groups are absolutely welcome.
No, I mean, our schools are small. I don't mean just group. I mean the schools.
Absolutely.
Our class size is, a large class is 10 students.
Sue, has this evening been useful to get you kind of up to speed on what some of the youth are able to do around the country?
Oh, I'm impressed. It's just that we're so different. I mean, yeah, I'm very impressed with what they're doing. I think it's amazing. They're doing great things. It's just that anything we do is going to look totally different.
We can't wait to have y'all join and share what we do. And I'm sure there will be plenty of things we learn from you all as well. So that's what this is about.
Well, I just want you to know from Tennessee, we have a very close connection with Tennessee 4-H. They've been very supportive of our programs. So
glad to hear.
And I have had youth come and present like at the state roundup and different things like that. So yeah, I look forward to getting my youth involved. Thank you.
Fantastic.
It's a great evening.
That's awesome. That's really great. Thank you. Is that all you have for business, or would you like to add anything else before I continue? Okay. Well, it'd be really great to have new members. So, like, as you guys all know, please invite people to come and join and work in your states to make that like a bigger organization there. Okay. So we went through, I believe, all of the state updates. If I'm missing anyone, please just raise your hand or something. But if not, we have additional business as part of the agenda for tonight, and I can continue with that if you'd like. That sound good?
Great.
Okay, perfect. So the first item on new business is the team project for the 2023 to 24 WTF plan. So if anyone would like to start with that, please please feel free to start.
And I believe that was what to expand on the where's the food, like the next level.
Austin, you got any thoughts? And Thomas, you and Austin and other youth that were on the call in San Diego, you have reactions from the people who attended the San Diego Summer Conference with you, and reactions to the Where's the Food initiative, and an interest in pursuing that further. Any guiding lights from y'all?
Well, Arjun, Ben, and Shashireka are all on this call and were there, so I would open the floor for their feedback. They were all at the conference in San Diego.
Well, I'll say I've certainly slept since then. However, I think there was a lot of interest in, I don't know. Let's see. So, and you all help me out if you can, but there was some people interested in continuing with Where's the Food and finding out new ways for, like bringing it to their communities and creating dashboards and learning how to use the tools. There was also interest in some of the like business aspects of, like business and engineering, and like wanting to go into different sectors using GIS just in general. So I wonder if there's a way we can tie in using those different sectors, maybe creating kind of like a CRM for food banks. We were kind of talking about that earlier with what Michael was talking about. And that would pull in business. It would also pull in, external folks to come and get engaged. So that would be kind of like a tier 2 from my perspective, is engaging the not just the communities, not just the youth, but engaging third parties to come in and help us bring the network together of food banks and pantries.
So inventorying those would be a place to start in that process?
Yeah, inventorying, collecting contact information, and reaching out and seeing what kind of partnerships we could build. I mean, if we could build a partnership with like one of the name brands, like Second Harvest or something, then that's nationwide. That's going to have a really big sweeping impact. And that partnership between us and between 4-H and Second Harvest could be invaluable. It could be something that makes national headlines and could bring a lot of publicity and funding to the project so that we can take it to further levels. So I think having that external connection is going to be a big help and a big leg up for us moving forward, if we're taking this serious.
Ben, I saw Michael applauding your comments there. Any chance that Michael and Ben might exchange email around that idea, and next month come back with a draft notion about how some potential activities around bringing that about?
Well,
Yeah, I would
also,
encourage that to be.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Ben.
Sorry, I was just going to say I would encourage that to be something that the youth lead.
Of course.
Getting in contact with those companies, figure out, okay, we got Second Harvest. What are our other main players in the food bank and food pantry industry? Because it is an industry. It's something that it's a nonprofit, so it's not like they're trying to make money off the people they serve. They're doing it for good for the community, but they do it on a large scale. And so if we want to scale up and if we want to make this a serious impact across the nation, we need to look to scale. So we're looking at almost making this a startup. And luckily, we've got someone with a lot of startup experience on our team.
Well, Tom, I'd like to add, Tom Tate, because also USDA with a cooperative extension service. What kind of partnerships do they, with nonprofits, do they promote, or what are those kind of things? And, like we're talking Second Harvest, for example. Does USDA already say, oh, gee, hey, we've got some things going on with Second Harvest, or we coordinate with these groups? Or, I mean, is that something that, contacts at the Cooperative Extension Service could help with us, with 4-H, getting those partnerships?
Absolutely.
Would you be willing to talk with somebody, there and say, oh, gee, be really nice if you could talk with some of our people who are working with our teams to try to figure out partnerships with Second Harvest or other groups?
Let's do it.
Okay, great. That'd be super. Because then we'd have so much more strength, rather than talking to them or try to, if USDA, if we had contacts there with CES, with the Cooperative Extension Service, that gives it so much more legitimacy.
Now, Kim is a county 4-H educator here who would also have 4-H, agricultural agent in some of the counties that you work with, Kim, that you might be able to locally explore the Second Harvest partnerships that are going on. Any thoughts on that?
We have 2 counties that are still county that have ag I can reach out to.
And youth, I'll say this, we're going to help you build the connections and the partnerships and get the experience you need to do it. But we need your help to pull together and put together surveys and dashboards and learn the GIS tools in and out. That's what we're here for. We're going to help you be successful. And we're here to help provide support. But it's going to take a team effort of putting together the materials so that when we talk to these companies, we can say, hey, here's a game plan we have. And so figuring out what it is we want them to do. And so something I'm envisioning is sending out a survey to each food bank in each community and saying, hey, can you fill out for all the, check the boxes for the different types of food you offer. Check the boxes for the types of food you need donated most. Where are you getting your foods from? Those kinds of things. And so we're going to have to look a lot at data input validation to make sure they're not just, because we don't want them to just type paragraphs out and we have to read through each and every one.
Yeah.
So if we're doing this, we're going to do it on a large scale, and we're going to have to take a look at what kind of data we want and really filter and refine it down to where we get something that is actionable and easy to take and put into GIS and use on a map, use in dashboards and spreadsheets and etc. So it's going to take a team commitment, and it will be a year-long project to put that together, but it could be really, really awesome in the long run.
And to that point, Survey 123 does have a option to where you can put signature input. HazardX's Survey 123 actually uses that. It's really simple. All you need to do is plop it in and then make it a requirement. And literally they can just draw on it with a mouse or like with their phone, and there's a signature right there.
Yeah, and that's great. But I guess what I'm talking about is when you want to pull something into a map, if it's in a paragraph format, the only thing you can do is either display the text or whatever. So we need to make sure when we're pulling in locations, when we're pulling in the types of food they're using, that way we can color code things and make things look nice and do it really easily. You want them to do the work for you, since everyone does a little bit of the work all distributed across the country, instead of putting it all on our backs and saying, hey, we got to read through thousands and thousands and thousands of lines of people writing. So I think this is something that we could do and survey them on what kinds of foods they need, what kind of foods they have currently that they offer to the community. How many people do they serve? How, on average, how far do these people drive, or do they walk? Do they have cars? And we could collect all this data and then use that to help people understand in their own communities where there's a need.
Wondering if we can look at best practices. And what I'm saying is, you know, rather than trying to, you know, work from ground up, which takes a long time, you know, trying to refine those things, you know, year after year after year, trying to refine stuff. If we can look at best practices where those are, like I said, the Atlanta, Georgia, you know, they've already done probably 95% of everything you've said, Ben.
Okay.
And so they've already done all that. So then, and they've worked with the food, you know, the food bank, and it was Second Harvest and the main one. So they've already done all that stuff, you know, and so it becomes logistics, you know, logistics of which farms are providing the food, or where's the food coming from, when is it being supplied, when is it being provided to, you know, what are the scheduling for all that, you know, so they had to do all that work already. So where are the holes, where are the missing places, you know?
So yes, did they do that just for Atlanta, or did they do that nationwide?
There are different places. I think Cincinnati was one of them, but they're like, I think there are about 5 or 6 of them I looked at where they've already done these kind of, gee, we're wonderful reports, you know, look what we did, blah, 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 blah. You know, and in Atlanta, I talked with the guy, the young guy who actually did the programming. And he is not with Atlanta anymore. He moved to Miami and he's got a different job, but he still talked with me. But I just give that as an example. You know, there's like one person or 2 people who do these things, you know, and then figure it all out. And then everybody else kind of like goes by the numbers and keeps stuff still working. So I'm talking about, you know, these best practices. So when the other thing I was going to say was U.S. Department of Agriculture, I give an example, they do these surveys, and they're, you know, and they're coordinating with these food banks, you know, so I'm wondering what kind of surveys they're doing already. And I'm wondering what kind of surveys the food banks themselves are doing already to do their logistics, you know, on providing food. You know, how much food do they need? When do they need it? You know, which populations they serve, where the locations. Because in South Carolina, you can go online and you can find every food pantry throughout the state. You know, its location.
Now, let me ask you this. Can you look up, so you can look up the location and you can look up maybe contact information, but can you look up and see a map that says, hey, these are the things they need right now?
No.
These are the populations they're serving.
No.
Hey, y'all, I'm going to do a timeout. And I do think this conversation is really valuable. I do also know that we have an hour for the meeting and
I'm sorry.
we have homework to do tonight. And so I want to make sure that we're honoring all of that. I think we need to continue this conversation, just probably not tonight. So that being, because I think we're on to something here. I think we're on to how we're going to take our Where's the Food project to the next level. So I'm all in. I just also know that as an adult, I can do certain things that some of the young people on the call tonight cannot. So let's, if we can through the rest of the agenda items, Faith, I mean, just like if there are any things that we need to do as homework, maybe we can talk
I think
about
most of it
those.
has already been covered, so we're already
Okay.
like 90% done. For homework, I'm seeing definitely write notes about what's happening tonight. Like everyone get emails and such. So if we need to like further conversations that have started here, you can bring it like to a different setting, so that way you guys can keep the conversation going. Recruiting new members, we've already discussed that as well. Where's the food plan we already went into. We have dates for the county and state fairs in our areas, and if anyone has others they're not thinking of right now, please send them out to the group and we can look at those as well. Plans, ideas for Geography Week or GIS Day, I think we already covered those as well. So looking at that, I think we have finished our agenda, so good work, everyone. if there's anything else you want to add, please, you can email like everyone afterward and things. We can close with the pledge if you'd like. And then I think that's it.
I'd just like to re-invite Michael to come back again if this has been of value to you. And if there are others in South Carolina that you may be in contact with that might make sense to listen in and join us to help grow your partnerships in South Carolina, please know that they'd be extremely welcome to join us. You can help reach out. And Thomas, we probably, maybe if this makes sense, we make add Michael Moore's email to our distribution list. And as is true with Sue Isbell in North Dakota, sounds like she's on board. Sue, if you're interested in continuing next month, we'd like to add your email to our distribution list so that you receive the invitations. We really appreciate your input and Faith and sister. You've done a fine job of facilitating this evening. It's really been extremely productive. Thanks to everyone. Thomas, back to you.
Back to Faith.
Back to Faith.
Well, the last thing on the agenda is the 4-H pledge. Is there anyone who'd like to lead it? I can if there's no offer to, but feel free to. You guys probably all know it by heart as well. So, anyone interested in doing it? Adults too, if you're interested. Anyone? Okay, nope. Okay. So we're going to do the 4-H pledge now. I pledge my head to clearer thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, and my health to better living. For my club, my community, my country, and my world. Thank you all for joining us. I'm really glad you got to learn more about Massachusetts and vice versa. And I really want to thank our guest speakers as well. We'd really like to work with you some more. And it'd be really great to be able to, Ms. Sue, have some of your tribal members as well. That'd be really like a great asset. So thank you all so much. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you all. And everybody's welcome to stay on as long as you want. We can continue the conversation. I did want to give the young people a ticket out.
Michael, Ben, you want to connect?
Yeah, be happy to provide my email.
Yeah.
Put it in the chat box down there at the bottom of the.
Well, Tom, did you send them out? Did you send out the emails to everybody? Can I get it out there?
No, we have it's a single list, and
Okay.
the details not in all of the emails aren't in the list. It's a group name. But Ben just posted his Merit B at etsu.edu.
I know. My chat is not working.
Okay.
You have pen and paper?
Yeah.
All right. It's M as in mother, E as in elephant, R as in
Rabbit.
rabbit. There you go. R again. I
As in
as in I as in indigo, then 2 T's as in turtle, and then B as in brother, at E as in elephant, T as in talk, S as in trying to
State.
state, there you go, and then U as in university.edu. Sorry, I'm running on like 3 hours of sleep for the past 48 hours. So
You're doing great.
why, Ben? Why?
Is that
I just got back from Chicago yesterday.
Oh, nice.
So I was up at 1 a.m. for my flight to leave yesterday. And then flew all day, got home, had homework, went to bed, got up super early for class and work and all that good stuff. So
wow?
a full day.
So that was that ETSU at EDU?
Eastern Tennessee State University.
Got it. Okay. Got it. Mine is Moore Michael, Moore, like Michael Moore, the guy with the movies, but I'm not it. Yeah. So Moore Michael MOORE Michael MICHAEL 3333 at gmail.com.
So 4 3s, right?
Yeah.
Okay. MOOREMICHAEL 3333 at gmail.com.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah. Great.
And what organization are you with again?
I'm not. I'm retired like 2 or 3 times.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I work for Tom Tate.
There you go. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. Feel free to shoot me an email. Be happy to connect and talk a little bit more. Hopefully, you can join us for future calls.
Absolutely.
Yeah, basically, I'm really interested in kind of scaling this up, and it sounds like what you've been seeing out of Atlanta would be a good model for the team to follow, and then figure out what kind of data is useful and what kind of data people would want to see, and so maybe we can survey or poll some of the people in the communities of the youth to see what kind of data they'd be interested in. If they're looking to donate food, what kind of food do they want to donate, or that kind of thing, and then poll each food bank, each food pantry, and get that nationwide. Pull that data in using GIS, and that's great to build their technical knowledge, but also their networking skills. So I think all around it's going to be a really good project if that's the direction the team wants to go.
Yeah, part of what I see on this is coordination.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're talking to the U.S. Department of Agriculture with the Cooperative Extension Service or other folks that are really interested in, fresh food, if we start talking to them and start figuring out, who's doing the best stuff that they're looking at, that they're really supporting, and what are some of the connecting points, connecting the dots that they think 4-H youth could really be helpful. The 4-H teams, doing GIS and doing other things, because one of the huge things that 4-H can do is person to person on the ground, local, because that's something that government really doesn't do very well. The person to person. It's but the 4-H kids, the 4-H teams, 6 million. Not all, you're not going to get everybody, but there's something that everybody can do. And if you connect the dots all the way around, there's a lot of grant money that's available, that could be available.
Mm-hmm.
It could be scaled up. But it's really based on coordination. It's kind of like, flowing with the flow, figuring out what the flow is, figuring out where the priorities are, figuring out also what U.S. Department of Agriculture, Cooperative Extension Service, already the priorities that they're trying to push. Like they've got their 20 or 30 schools that are their best this, best that, that they're doing every year, that they're examining 100 different schools or different school districts. And I mentioned those surveys because the surveys that they do I think it's every 5 years of all the school districts, every school district in the country. And I say every, maybe it's 90%, but it's basically every school district is supposed to do these farm to school reports. And so when they're talking about, it's overlapping with what you were saying about surveys, overlapping in the way of, okay, what is the degree of participation in farm to school by this school district? What is it? And there are like 30 questions. And some of that can be digitized. Some of it can be data. Some of it is, what kind of foods do you give an example of the foods that you have? Is it squash? Is it tomatoes? Is it, and they can do that list, but that's not the main part of the thing. I would say the main part of it is, what is the degree of participation? And they ask about 10 different questions on what kind of participation is it? You know, and it's fill in the blank.
Mhm.
And the key thing for me is, what is your school district's budget for buying food annually? Is it $4 million? Okay, what percent of that 4 million, how much do you spend on fresh food? The best district that I found in South Carolina was Lexington County. You know, they've got 5 districts, so one of them in Lexington, I think it was Lexington 2. And Lexington 2 had 1.4 million out of 4.7 million. It was nearly 25% of their 25% of their budget, their school budget, was on fresh food.
Wow.
Which was fabulous. I told the guy at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the South Carolina Department of Agriculture, I told him what was on the report. He didn't know. You know, I was telling him what was on the reports because I had looked at all of them. You know,
Well, here's what I'm thinking in my mind. Most Americans here, you know, food insecurity, it's a huge problem. Everyone knows that. And
yeah,
the nature of people when they hear an issue like that is, how can I help? What can I do?
yeah,
So most people hear the generic answer, donate to a food bank, donate to a food pantry. And so
yeah.
then they're like, okay, well, where is the food pantry? What do they need? What should I bring? And when they do a Google search, they should be able to come up to a website. And I envision that being our website that shows, you know, you put in your zip code, it shows your local food pantries, it shows their need, you know, how big is the population they serve? Currently, how much food are they receiving to be able to serve that population? Do they have enough? Do they have enough of what they need? Is there too much of one thing? You know, that way we can see what it is that they need to serve their communities and do their job and fill their.
I'm going to get a little bit more analytical on that. If you go on one website, I forget which one it is, but there's one website that that tells you health statistics by census tract for every state.
County Health Rankings, countyhealthrankings.org.
Yeah.
We use that data in a lot of our maps.
So then the question is, okay, if you target those census tracts that have, like, you know, health statistics that are the worse than 40% or worse than 30%, you know, as far as underserved populations, as far as poor health, you know, and you have those dots, you know, they've got them already, you know, you can call it up on the website, you know, they show you where those census tracts are. And then you say, okay, what are the food banks in those areas? What are the food pantries in those areas? You know, you concentrate on those areas. You don't concentrate on all areas, but you concentrate on those specifically, and you say, okay, our purpose is to make sure that those don't exist anymore. And what does that mean? Oh, that means they got to have proper food, they got to have
I think
health.
it's important to be able to filter that out, but I think it's also important to highlight the places that do it well and let those shine as a model. And so I think you need both. But most certainly, where can we be helping the most?
Well, I come at it from the other side, that depending on how this data is used, in South Carolina, for instance, if you've got these major population centers, they mask the fact that tens of thousands of people are being poorly served. You know, because you've got 800,000 people living in Columbia, South Carolina, in those counties around Columbia, South Carolina, the state capital. But you've got lots of poor, underserved, not healthy people in those counties. So what do? You know, but then I look at it from the other side. You've got 16 counties out of 46 in South Carolina, 16 counties that do not have primary care. mean, then you've got. So how do you go about this? You see
Well,
what I'm
I think the thing that we can do as a team, we have to look at our scope. And I think the best thing we can do as a national team is try to bring awareness nationwide and provide a reliable source of information for people to go to figure out how they can help.
Yeah.
And so you start out with something that explains the story, why it is that it's a problem, and you get people hooked in and interested that way, and then you provide them with the information relevant to them on what kinds of items their food pantries need, what kind of things they can do to help, where can they go, those kinds of things. Yeah,
Well,
I think
let
I,
me
I
tell
think you have a lot of great knowledge
I
and
agree with you totally. Let me take it a little bit farther. When Thomas Ray was talking about, how you linked it with policy. Okay, that's fantastic. Because Lexington School District 2, the key thing that they have in their survey that makes them different than any other school district in South Carolina, far superior. 25% is far superior than anyone else. Anyone else is like maybe 8 or 9% if they're great, on farm to school. And most of them stink. Most of the school districts absolutely stink. They're like 0 or 1% or 2%. But anyway, the one big difference was they said in their survey, in answer to the question, why does it work so well? They have a procurement policy. They have a procurement policy. Nobody else has that on any survey of any of the 146 school districts in South Carolina. Procurement policy. So if Thomas Ray said, hey, gee, here's what we're going toward. We're going toward procurement policies for school districts throughout North Carolina, throughout Raleigh, throughout the Triangle area, and you use that as a building point. Do you see where I'm going?
Yeah, I'll tell you what we found is the issue here, Michael, around that farm to school issue is a lot of our farmers are smaller farmers, and the GAP certification is just so ridiculously expensive for them. They've got kind of low volume,
I got
and
an answer for you.
What's that?
I got an answer for you from the South Carolina Department of Agriculture.
Yeah, tell me.
I asked exactly that question, and I said, "What's the problem?" And so he said, the answer that they've gotten from most of the farmers why they don't get certified is demand, lack of demand from the schools. And I said, "What do you mean?" And so we went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And so the answer I finally got was, it's a chicken and the egg. The schools don't demand it because the middleman says the farmers aren't certified. The farmers don't get certified because the schools don't demand it. Schools don't demand it because the middleman, the distributor, says the farms aren't certified.
I would say, and that may be the case. I'm not directly related in that work, but I'm colleagues with people in extension who are, and they have been working. Like there's serious work that it continues. Even looking for funding to find ways to pay for that GAP certification for small farmers. Wake County is a massive district. It's one of the largest school districts in the nation. And I think we're 11 in the nation in terms of school district size. But all that being said, that there's a lot of T crossing and I dotting, and I just think that's what I keep hearing, what keeps coming up as the key barrier for our smaller farmers and to participate, because Extension would love for that to happen, right? That's a win for Extension on both sides. We're helping our farmers, we're getting nutritious food to our young people. It's like a no-brainer, win-win. But and I just haven't dived into the policy, all of the policy issues to really understand it. I also wanted to share with you, in terms of what we've been doing with Where's the Food, there have been kind of a couple tiers of it. And one is, we do have this current national, we're pushing it out whenever we go to different events and things like that. And it's a survey, 1, 2, 3, basically where are the healthy food options in your community. And then we have a dashboard that generates that. So that's kind of what we've all been working on collectively, which I'm very excited about the potential for what the next steps are, or what a newer iteration or version of that could be in partnership with our food banks. But what we've also been doing at the local level here is working with our county food security manager. Wake County just rolled out a $7.2 million food security plan. And we have been going, our 4-H youth have been going to our emergency food hub sites and asking people how they feel about the food they're getting. Asking questions about what types of cultural or ethnic foods are prepared in your homes. And questions like, do you strongly disagree all the way up to strongly agree? And we ask these questions in English and in Spanish. We have a pretty high Spanish speaking population here. But so the food that I receive at this hub is easy for me to prepare. The food that I receive at this hub matches the types of foods I prepare at home, something like that. And then we're asking questions, what would you like to see more of? What would you like to see less of? But, so I just wanted to throw in that caveat to say that the power of 4-H youth, and I think you alluded to it, and I just kind of wanted to use that example of like, here's how it looks in our community, is that it can be really nuanced to whatever those issues are. A lot of times people say, well, what does the data tell us about this? Well, the national level data can tell us a few things, but it can't tell you the context of what's going, like why. It can't tell you all of the whys. You can start to see some of the correlations, you can start to see some patterns, but the why may actually be different. Good night, Ben. I know you need to get some sleep, dude. Go to bed right now. Don't argue.
Well, I have
Go to
homework.
bed. I know.
Yeah. All right, we'll see y'all. Have a good one.
Ben, great to meet you. Great to
Pleasure
meet
to
you.
meet you as well, Michael.
Take care.
But and I won't keep rambling. It's time for us to wrap up too. But all that to say that and basically what Sue was sharing. I mean, the nuances of her community are going to be radically different from, here in Raleigh. But that's the beauty of 4-H youth who are part of their community, kind of understanding those nuances and context and using this data, but then coupling it with their experience or collecting stories about those experiences from people in their communities, and really making a tapestry of the context for what's taking place. And then when you start talking about addressing policies, I don't know if South Carolina, for example, has a preemption clause around tobacco outlet density, but so that may be very different even from state to state or community to community. But I think they can start to say, well, here, and this is why I do want to continue. I'm not probably the right person to continue the gap certification conversation because I don't have as much context, but we've got to get to the bottom of some of this stuff. And I love your example of, it was literally a procurement policy. I'm like, what the heck? Something so basic, so simple. School board just needed to put that thing in place, and then it works.
And it's the only one out of 146.
It's the only one. Nobody else has figured this out. What the heck?
Yeah. And I wanted to mention too, on that survey that U.S. Department of Agriculture does for the school districts, they give you an option of how you find local food. And that can be, city, town, county, region, up. And U.S. Department of Agriculture, the definition that U.S. Department of Agriculture uses for grants is 200 miles. But nobody knows that.
Yeah.
So you could answer on every single one of these school boards, you could say 200 miles. And you'd be hitting multiple buttons at the same time, for getting grants and all kinds of stuff to, to expand your fresh food program, do all kinds of stuff just by putting that 200 miles. Instead of trying to get local food in Wake County, from small farmer, blah, 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 if there are lots of farmers. And to me, it drives me nuts because South Carolina is one of the largest producers in the country for certain crops, and why is it that, they aren't getting it from, but 200 miles, that opens everybody up. Everybody could be, 50% on fresh food instead of 5%. I'm sorry, I'm talking too much, but you got it.
Oh, we're good. I appreciate the conversation. Ben said great conversation. I think everybody's enjoyed the conversation tonight. I'm going to stop recording.